2025 Jim Dandy Stakes recap. Sovereignty wins a thriller. A lot of interesting things came out of this race. We're going to talk about it. Welcome to All Horse Racing All the Time. I'm Alan, your host. Well, Sovereignty comes through again. G2, Jim Dandy Stakes, 5-horse field. Yeah, it's a small field, but it was a telling race. And I'll tell you what. This really played more like a G1 race because there were all G1 horses in there. You had Hill Road, you had Sandman, Baeza, Sovereignty, big time horses in there. So this really was more like a G1. But how this race unfolded, it unfolded a little bit differently than I anticipated. And I gained a lot of respect for Sovereignty in this race. What I mean by that is, the start of the race, yeah, Moplex went to the front. We expected that. He didn't go as fast early as anticipated. There were just over 24 seconds for the opening quarter. But what surprised me is Sovereignty, right off the get-go, he was up front with the leaders. He actually overtook Baeza at one point. What did that do? I think that took Baeza off his game a little bit because as we were going down the backstretch, he had to work a bit to get in front of Sovereignty. That was a surprise right there. I expected Moplex to be running in front. Yeah, that was cool. But Baeza, I don't think he expected the presence of Sovereignty, and that forced Baeza to extend himself a little bit more earlier than the game plan called for. So right there, and then Sovereignty dropped off. What I love about that is Sovereignty showed that he can go quicker early if he has to. And then he dropped off, kind of like a push-button horse, Sovereignty. Now, this is a dry track. The question was, is Sovereignty, how's he going to do when the track's not wet? Well, listen up. Yeah, so they went down the backstretch. One, it was 3-1. Okay, no surprises there. The only surprise was Sovereignty was as close as he was. And what happened then was really interesting. Heading into the far turn, yeah, Moplex was still there. Coming off the turn, coming for home, he was still in position. But now this horse was gassed. What about Moplex? What I see there is he just cheap speed. Maybe he is. I thought his best chance to win that race was to go faster early. I didn't expect him to be over 24 seconds for the opening quarter, but he was. And even then, he didn't, smart race by him. I guess they weren't going to push him too hard, maybe save some of that extra speed at the end, but he had nothing left. Didn't even finish in the trifecta. But Sovereignty now, Baeza, what about Baeza? He had everything you can ask for go his way. Saved ground, was up front. The only thing that didn't go his way was the presence of Sovereignty actually being in front of him. Well, who expected that? I certainly didn't. Had his coming for home, he was in front, coming off the turn when he moved past Moplex. Then Sovereignty, another thing, gaining respect for him there, again, had to go wide outside of Baeza. Pressed him. They started, it was a duel down the stretch, but by then you could see Baeza was kind of gassed. His head was sideways, and Sovereignty was just rolling along, coming for home. And yeah, he prevailed by about a length. But when push comes to shove, he covered more ground in victory than Baeza did. What about Baeza? Nice horse. Maybe the wrong year for him with the competition between Sovereignty and Journalism. But then Sovereignty won going away at 1 1/8 miles. Another thing that impressed me about Sovereignty was he's growing. Godolphin bred, he's bred up the kazoo. So he looked bigger and stronger than ever. And going forward, that's a very strong sign. Another thing that impressed me was Sovereignty. Again, the push button horse was up there early, was able to drop back like a game of chess. And when he needed to go, Junior Alvarado just sent him, even going wide, and just chewed up that ground and put the competition away. He put the wet track myth to bed with that race yesterday in the Jim Dandy Stakes. I actually think that was Sovereignty's best race to date. It really showed his stuff, showed the dirt. He actually looked better on dirt. He actually looked better than dirt than he did on a wet track. Being up there, showing his speed early, laying off, coming on at the end, making up ground, going wide, no problem. He's going to be a handful going forward. Very impressed with that race. I gained a newfound respect for Sovereignty. Baeza, very gallant race run. I think he ran into a buzzsaw here. He was taken off his game a little bit, and he still hung in there, and he was in position to win. No more excuses from Baeza. Now what's the deal with him? Is he a horse that just can't get the job done? We saw it at Santa Anita before the Kentucky Derby and the Santa Anita Derby when he had the race to himself and gets nailed by journalism. And now this time, again, he was in position, had the race to himself, clear sailing, 1 1/8 miles, turn back in distance, and he couldn't get the job done. Gets nailed by Sovereignty. Baeza, $1.2 million horse. Where does he go from here? Probably the Travers. We'll see. There's some hints that he'll go to the Pacific Coast Classic, which I believe he gets squashed. So I don't see that as a path for him. But it's all about Sovereignty right now. Really put a stranglehold on the 3-year-old division. Having beaten journalism twice, Kentucky Derby, Belmont Stakes, now the Jim Dandy Stakes really was like a G1, not a G2. So a lot of respect, hats off, Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, Sovereignty, all the connections. This one is going to be tough. This one's going to be tough. I'm curious again to see what kind of speed figures he comes up with out of this race. So it should be very interesting going forward. What do you think? Sovereignty looks like the real deal to me. Leave your comments down below. See where he goes from here. No doubt the Travers. So stay tuned. And as far as journalism goes, I don't know. They're undecided yet whether it's going to be the Pacific Coast Classic, Pacific Coast Stakes, or the Travers. Hopefully he goes to the Travers and we all get that showdown of journalism and Sovereignty squaring off for another showdown. Thanks for watching, everybody. And remember, may the horse be with you.